Coming up on the CHGO Cubs podcast presented by Toyota and Bet365, the Cubs lose in extra innings as the offense falls flat in the series finale against the Phillies. Say that fast 3 times. We're going to recap the game, the series, and the homestand next. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? This is the CHGO Cubs podcast driven by Toyota. Let's go places and Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary. Use the code CHGO365 at sign up. Cubs lose to the Phillies 3-1 in extra innings out at Wrigley Field. That is back-to-back losses in a series for the first time since they played the Dodgers in Japan. So the first time stateside. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo with you. Off day coming up tomorrow on Monday, but we will still be here for a podcast for that as well. That will be at 1:30 in the afternoon on Monday if you want to watch and join that live on the new CHGO Cubs YouTube channel, which we hope you will be subscribing to if you have not yet. Give it all the positive reviews, the thumbs up, all those happy things, but make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any shows, and you can jump in. Luke Stuckmeyer, Cody Delmendo, Joey running the 1s and 2s tonight.
Yes,
see the chat's up and running. We got people on there. Eva Wax, always here, says, hi, everyone. Tough series loss.
Yeah.
Would agree with that. You get the first one, and to lose those last two, I don't have anything to say a whole lot about Saturday because whatever, you got blown out.
Mm-hmm.
But this one was tough to take. And yes, the offense wasn't there, and we'll talk about both sides of it. I'm not going to hang a whole lot on this game. This isn't one I'm going to spend a whole lot of time just dwelling on because you had 3 hits.
Yeah.
You had 3 hits in the game, and Aaron Nola had come into this and actually had given up a lot of contact, right, Cody? Like, he hadn't been good this year. Teams were hitting 300 against him.
Right.
But sure enough, he turns it around against the Cubs with the wind sort of blowing in a little bit.
So I have to give a shout-out to Nick Wheeler, who just came to Friday 120 Club. As soon as the game ends, he sends me a DM on Twitter. He says, I can hear Luke already in postgame. 3 hits. And that's how you started it.
Actually, 3 hits. Well, I mean, that is the game.
Yeah.
It's not. It has nothing to do with Merriweather walked too many guys. That's the secondary story on how they ended up losing the game. Mm. But when you have 3 hits from your offense against Aaron Nola, who had been struggling, and your top 5 guys in the lineup are 0 for 19 with 7 strikeouts, you're not going to win too many of those games.
Sure, yeah. No, I agree. They lost the game because they were 0 for 19 in the top 5 of the lineup. The fact that they never really were in situations. The 7th inning, I think, Michael Busch led off the inning with a walk, and then some fluky stuff happened, and they didn't score that inning. The inning they did score, PCA's double off the wall. I mean, it was off the wall, just a few feet from maybe being a 2-run homer. Maybe they win 2-1 tonight. But this is what happens in these low-scoring 1-run games. We sit here and we bicker about this inning or that, and we did this every single day last season and a lot of the season before. So that's why I, especially for the last year, have sat here and been like, it's always been about the offense. And when you look at the box score, I don't care what anyone says about what happened in the 10th inning. In the 10th inning, chaos is supposed to happen. MLB has set it up to be that way with the stupid ghost runner rule. When the Cubs win in extra innings, I love the ghost runner rule. When they lose in extra innings, I hate the ghost runner rule, okay? You lost in extra innings tonight. At least you failed in the 10th inning tonight. 1, because Julian Merriweather walked 3 guys. And then some Brujan, whatever. He doesn't play third base on a regular basis. He got a start tonight, and I feel bad for him because I thought he had a pretty decent game considering his exit velocities on a handful of balls he hit, and he did make all the routine plays before that inning, but it was still a bad position to be in no matter what. And at the end of the day, is Vidal Brujan your everyday third baseman? No. And that goes back to the front office. That goes back to relying on a rookie and Matt Shaw to be your guy at the beginning of the year.
And still are.
And still are, right? So if you, don't be mad at Vidal Brujan for this. Be mad at the front office for what's going on at third base, all right? I don't blame you if you are mad at him, but I'm just saying, like, for the expectations and based off what I saw from him tonight, from the entire game, I thought he had a decent game because no one was hitting for the Cubs tonight, and he had two of the hardest hit balls for the Cubs, unfortunately, right into gloves. So I'm not really that mad at him. Does he have to charge the ball? Yes. Yes, he has to charge the ball, I guess, right?
Would you prefer he doesn't smile about it?
Sure, but I'm assuming maybe he was just surprised, and that sounds like he just wasn't aware that, oh, hey, Trey Turner is fast. And that comes with experience, and it comes with the fact that he just doesn't play every day. So, to me, when it goes back to what happened in the 10th inning, I put most of the blame on Julian Merriweather. 3 walks is not going to get it done for you, especially when you start the inning with the guy on second base.
But still in your circle of trust.
Yeah, he's still in my circle of trust because he's been awesome all season. He's had, one, I think John Greenberg tweeted this. He had 3 walks the entire season. He walked 3 guys in this game. So he hasn't been someone who's had command problems. He hasn't been someone who, when he comes in, you feel like he's going to give up the lead. I just think that he might be a guy that when you bring him in with runners on, it can get a little dicey. But I feel like you can say that about a lot of relievers. And again, that is what the ghost runner rule or the guy in extra innings in the regular season is basically designed to do. I'm not even really making an excuse. I'm just calling it how I see it and how I've always seen it. So hopefully there will be a time down the road when the Cubs benefit off some reliever for another team that can't find command in the 10th inning or whatever inning, and they win the game because they walk 3 or 4 times in an inning. So to me, though, to bring it back around, this game was lost because you couldn't score any runs, and Jameson Taillon was awesome for you tonight, and you couldn't score any runs for him. Aaron Nola had been struggling coming into this game, and you did nothing. And sure, there were some hard hit balls hitting the gloves, but at the end of the day, the results say you didn't really do anything on offense. So
they've done a good job this season overall. Obviously, as like the best offense in the National League and sometimes in baseball, they've done a good job of playing a different type of game when the wind is either blowing in or not blowing out at Wrigley Field. Right? They've done a good job of getting. But you know what I'm saying? Like they've done a good job of getting on base, stealing some bases, manufacturing the runs that they need to on the other way. This was 3 hits, and it was, I believe, Michael Busch was the only base runner out of his walk was the only base runner out of those top 5 guys in the lineup.
Yeah.
So, you know, while it was promising early on with the PCA double off the wall and all of that, you just chalk it up to you play 162 games. The offense wasn't good, and Nola was better than they were today. That's the facts of the game.
We were also like a few feet away from sitting here talking about Ryan Presley giving up the go-ahead.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that. We will get to this.
So,
Merriweather wasn't the only guy in the bullpen that had some issues tonight, and we'll get to that. But in general, this was an offensive game that the Cubs just didn't have it. And how can you really complain because they're like the best of the best so far this season, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and complain all night about the offense because they've been good.
The best, yeah.
They've been so good.
This is what I will say about this game and what it means. This game just proved to me, or not I won't say proved, but it set forth that the Phillies, despite their record, despite the fact that going into Saturday they had lost 5 in a row, they are still that team that has all that experience, that has all that playoff experience, that has been there, done that. It's April. They don't care that they're, just a couple games above 500. They're going to get it going when they get it going because they have the guys that they do, and they've all played together for a while. The Cubs have some guys who have been here for a few years, but it's not like they have made deep playoff runs, have played in October and played in some of the biggest games of their life. The Phillies, again, on Saturday, going into Saturday's game, they had lost 5 in a row, and then they snapped that losing streak with a big day, and they come into Sunday Night Baseball under the lights, national television game, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryson Stott having a nice season. Like, all these dudes that have been there, done that, and they just reminded everyone, like, hey, we're still here. You know what I mean?
They're not going anywhere.
To me, that's what they did. And it's going to take a while for the Cubs to get to that point. That doesn't mean I don't think they can down the line, September, whatever happens. But all I'm saying is when you watch the Phillies tonight, that's kind of the vibe I got. It's kind of like they won that game yesterday, and now they got this monkey off their back, and now it's like, okay, now we go. And we'll see what happens with them moving forward, but
they're a playoff team.
They just reminded us of like how good they really are. And just like, you know, teams coming into Wrigley that were playing well. Remember when the Diamondbacks came to Wrigley, they'd won like 5 in a row. Remember when the Rangers came to Wrigley, they had won 5 or 6 in a row. The Cubs won that series, both those series, you know, stuff like that. The opposite happened. The Cubs were playing well. They just swept the Dodgers. The Phillies coming to Wrigley, they weren't playing well, and they win the series. So, you know, sometimes all it takes is one game to get right. And that's what it felt like for the Phillies, in my opinion.
I feel like tonight was one of those nights, unfortunately, that felt a little bit like last year, a touch where, look, neither of those sides, neither of those offenses were hitting the ball over the fence tonight.
Yeah.
Couple balls came pretty dang close, but no one could get it over the fence. So what did you have to do? You had to throw strikes, play defense. And Cody, you talk about the beginning of the year, winning on the margins. Tonight was just one of those little small margin nights where the Phillies, it wasn't like they did anything special. They just played solid defense. They didn't walk anybody, and eventually they got a couple runs across the board, and that's what happens.
Yeah. They're still a playoff team, and as much as I know that the stats say no team that's ever gotten off to the start the Braves have started at doesn't make the playoffs either, but, you know, they're back to 12-15, the Braves. So there's possibly 3 playoff teams coming out of that division.
Possibly. And
it's a gauntlet. Like they're almost as good as the West. The Cubs are definitely in the weakest division, and they're going to have to win this division. And again, what are they? 17-12.
17-12.
Let's not complain. 17-12. We all would have said, if you would have told us what their record was going to be on this date at 17-12, we all would have jumped into Lake Michigan. We said, yes, we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll all take it. And Craig Counsell would have taken it too. So
yeah,
it is what it is. We are going to talk more about the pitching, though. We're going to talk about the series in general, and we're going to look forward to now the Cubs getting ready to play the division for the first time this season, because all this great start has been terrific, but it's against teams not in their division. And last year, the Cubs weren't that good against their own division, even though the quality of teams should be easier to beat than it would be against the other teams. So we'll get to all of it in a sec.
Yeah. Someone in the chat asked about Corey and Brennan's show. Their show moved to Thursdays this year. But their videos are still on our new YouTube channel too, if you're not subscribed. So
yes, they are on Thursdays.
And they're still in the podcast.
They got sick of losing on Sundays, and they said, we're not doing Sundays anymore.
They're done doing Sundays, and they said me and Luke have
to. So now Corey goes and watches those losses.
But it sounds like some fans need to start subscribing to the Cubs YouTube channel, because they would already be seeing Corey and Brendan's wonderful content on a weekly basis. This is a perfect opportunity tonight before we start next week.
Would have already known.
Excellent point.
Good point.
They hit the like button yet? I only see 19 likes. That's disappointing. And we also had a Toyota Super Chat, did we not, early in the show?
We did. It was on Bruhan. Do you want to get to it real quick before the break?
Let's do it real quick before the break. Steven, Super Chat.
Thank you, Steven.
$5. Loyal watcher and listener.
I'll read it. I'm so pissed at Bruhan. That late throw was his fault, and he was smiling. I would be so pissed if I was a teammate. Another bad acquisition by Jed. You want to take this one?
Well, I don't, I never love a player smiling, but that's just his natural reaction to being like, yeah, I screwed that up, and he can't believe he did it.
Yeah.
But
I guess.
Trey Turner, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
If he's laughing because he thinks it's actually funny, that's not as cool.
I would lean to believe that he didn't think it was actually funny. I think he was probably caught off guard, and that's why I'm thinking that maybe he didn't realize, oh, hey, that's Trey Turner.
You know how I like to do 3 stars lately for after a win? Who are the 3 stars, like hockey style? Who's the number 1 star? If you had to do 3 things to blame in this game, you would do Cubs offense, number 1 star.
Yeah.
Number 1 thumbs down. The number 2 thumbs down, not quite as bad, would be Bruhan, and then it would be Merriweather, probably.
Those are probably the 3 faults.
Those are certainly the ones you blame. Anyways, we're going to talk more about it in a second. But first, a word from our great sponsors and some important stuff we want to tell you about. First of all, Toyota's got 25 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and 4-wheel drive. They have more than any other auto brand. our Chicago weather can just be brutal, especially in the winter, the fall, the spring. You never know what you're going to get. Toyota makes it easier. From the sleek Camry all-wheel drive to the Corolla hybrid all-wheel drive, the Tundra is their truck, and it's known for power, durability, off-road capabilities, and perfect for our weather. Headed to the big game or spring break or a big summer family trip across the country to Wally World, the spacious Grand Highlander is the perfect ride with all-wheel drive to keep you and yours safe. Did I mention they have more than any other auto brand? I think I did.
Maybe. So
you bring the action. Toyota's going to bring the traction. Toyota, let's go places. We want to remind you, this is a great time to sign up to be a diehard. We just had the NFL draft. Hope you didn't miss anything there. Become a CHGO diehard right now. Upgrade your fandom today. Show us you're a real sicko. Get access to our exclusive written content. You get a free t-shirt when you do it. Plenty of discounts on future merch and events, plus access to our CHGO Discord lounge where everybody likes to hang out and talk Chicago sports and so much more. Go to ALLCITY for the latest information on how you can join the thousands of CHGO diehards already in our community. We can't wait to connect with you on an even greater level. Speaking of, we got a great trip coming up next Saturday, less than a week away. The Cubs are going to Milwaukee, and you could be too. Kick off the summer right with me, Luke, perhaps Corey, and the rest of us who are going to Wrigley North next Saturday for the what are we calling it? The takeover. Let's call it a takeover. We're sort of taking over the state like we always do.
Yeah, we always take over Wrigley North. But first, we're going to be hanging out.
It's just a road trip.
Yeah, sure. But mostly we're going to be hanging out at the Potawatomi Casino and Hotel in Milwaukee on May 3rd there's a pregame party exclusive in the casino, and we're going to do a live pregame before the game. And if you come on the website, if you get the base package, it's $50 if you're not a diehard. If you're a diehard, you get it cheaper. But $50 you get the live show. There's a lunch buffet. There's drink tickets. You get $100 in casino play. So you get the $100. You can make your money back. Plus more.
You don't even have to watch our show. You're getting pay $50, get $100 in casino play plus drink tickets and a buffet. What's to lose? How do you lose there?
Because you're having too much fun at the casino.
Next thing you know, you're face down in macaroni and cheese.
You could be, yeah.
Classic
and then we'll wake
Milwaukee
you up.
Mistake.
Then we'll wake you up, and if you bought a ticket to go to the game for an extra $75 on the add-on, we'll carry you to the ballpark.
200 level.
And we'll be in the 200 level. We'll stay as far away from the escalators. And, then we'll have a good time at the game. You'll drink some water because you had too much fun at the casino. And, we'll manage to have a good time. But there's
a third add-on, right?
There is a third add-on if you want to stay the night. The person this person that I'm kind of making up here, they probably would need to stay the night at the hotel. All right. So there's one more add-on, and I believe it's $275 for the add-on. So the base package, $50. Just come hang out with me, Luke, and Corey, and all the rest of the diehards and anyone else who comes to the event. Live pregame. Again, the base package, you get drink tickets, you get the lunch buffet, you get the live pregame show that we're going to do. We're going to hang out, talk baseball, probably complain about all the things that we're going to complain about in the show. And then, we'll just take over Wrigley North because we have to keep the electricity on there like we always do.
I don't know. Edward's asking, I don't believe that's the price with the diehard discount, but don't make me math.
Yeah.
If you're a diehard, you'll find out.
Yeah,
I think it's 20%, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's 20% off if you're a diehard and you go and sign up. So from my understanding, I was told from Spencer, our events guy, we have 20 people so far coming to the pregame.
It's a good group.
And we only have a handful of tickets left to the game. So if you want to go to the game with us, go to allchgo.com/events now and get that ticket. I think, I don't know how many we have left, but I know there's not very many left. So get on it. Well, next Saturday. Can't wait.
I just came up with a great idea. I got to call Joe at Obvious Shirts and get him to print me a shirt that says "Stay off the escalators."
Yeah, stay off the escalators.
Everybody needs to wear a shirt. Stay off the escalators.
Hi, I'm Luke Stuckmeyer, and this is a PCA.
Or the headline could be,
"This is a PCA."
The shirt could just say, "You almost killed Braggs."
Give you some
with
flares.
Your effing escalators. You almost killed several people with your escalators. Okay, Cubs lose 3-1. We hope to see you on that trip. We mentioned the offense was a problem, and we touched on it a little bit, the pitching. But Taillon was great.
Yes.
And we're not doing – this isn't the series recap yet. That's next segment. But keep in mind, you got great starting pitching in 2 out of the 3 games. And if you take 1 inning away from Ben Brown, you got great starting pitching in all 3 games. So that's the part that's disappointing about losing this series. Taillon, 7 innings, 1 earned run, 2 strikeouts, no walks. You could argue that he could have come back out for another inning.
I guess
could have.
You brought in Hodge.
I don't have a problem with how they played it. I really don't.
How many pitches did he finish with?
He was under 100. Was he at like 80 something?
88.
88. Yeah. He could have started the inning, but then you got Hodge coming in a possible dirty inning. So I'm okay with it. I just was pleased with the fact that Taillon did it again. He gave you 7 strong innings. You didn't have to necessarily use a ton of guys in the bullpen, even though you have a day off coming on Monday.
Sure.
But the other part of it is the bullpen. So the good part is, yes, you got a nice start out of Taillon. The negative to it is Hodge did walk the leadoff guy, but got out of it with a double play. But so he made up for his own mistake. Then Presley comes in for the first time since he had his knee drained on Tuesday. I was terrified. And Castellanos he also walked Schwarber. Castellano misses the 2-run homer by a nose hair.
Yeah.
A nose hair, right?
Yeah.
And that would have been the game. And then Merriweather, of course, with the runner starting at second in extra innings, 3 walks. You had an RBI sac fly, and then the Brujan pat with Trey Turner going down the line. So you made a defensive mistake. After Taillon left, you had the ball that they gave him a hit, but the ball that ripped by Dansby Swanson was after Taillon, I believe, as well. Mm-hmm. And then you had Presley almost give up a homer, and Hodge walks a leadoff guy. They didn't play super clean baseball after Taillon.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining about the bullpen. I'm not. They've turned it around. Like, they've done a much better job. But this could have been worse than it was.
Sure, I guess. Yeah, Taillon, let me start with Taillon. The starting pitching has been fine, but I think since Justin Steele's injury, they have lacked length in games. Like, Colin Ray was awesome on Friday, but I think he only went 5 innings. Mm-hmm. And that's probably good for him. And that's what we should just always expect from him. I'm never going to expect him to go deeper into games.
But Taillon is your innings hog.
Sure, yeah.
If you want to if you want to kind of label each guy in the inning, Taillon is your innings eater. He will go a little bit deeper into games than other guys will, in my opinion.
That's not I'm not trying to.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not trying to say that you're wrong there. I'm saying that what Taillon did tonight, they needed it. And if you look at his game logs in recent games, he's been going like 5. So this was his longest start of the season, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Chat, I'm sure, will correct me if I'm wrong. But this is one of his longest starts of the year. And I'm just being honest. I'm not going to expect 7 innings out of Taillon every 5 days. But I am expecting him to keep you in the game, and I'm expecting him to at least go 5 to 6 innings. And they need more of that. And I'll just be honest as well. Like, they're going to need more of that from someone else. And it's probably going to be Shota Imanaga, and maybe, just maybe, it's Matt Boyd or Ben Brown, because I'm still a believer. But Taillon showed up tonight on the big stage, and you needed him to. And sure, we talked about the wind a little bit in the first segment, and the offense. Philly's offense wasn't very good either.
No,
but outside of Castellanos' ball, which wasn't even hit off Taillon, there weren't a lot of like scary moments.
You thought that was a home run, though, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I definitely thought. We all did.
I just assumed it was a home run.
We all did. All right. So, yeah, no, I think the big thing for Taillon for me is just the fact that he went 7 innings, and, you're able to save the bullpen a little bit, even though you had to go to extras and you used 3 of your best relievers. I know you got an off day tomorrow, but we all know this. We've seen this the last couple of years. If you use your bullpen if you have to use your bullpen all the time, consistently, because you're not getting enough length out of your rotation, it is a domino effect down the road. So that's all I'm saying about Taillon. That's one of the positives from this game is you used Hodge, you used Presley, you used Merriweather. whatever. You did, especially coming off a day where Ben Brown only gave you like 3.5 innings, whatever it was. And so that's my big pro for Taillon, and he continues to just be very solid. And he loves pitching at Wrigley Field. His numbers at Wrigley Field the last year plus has been awesome. So yeah, he deserved better tonight. The offense did not pick him up tonight, and that's a shame, but you know.
Well, I mean, in general, like I said, you had pretty good pitching, and we'll recap the whole series. We'll look ahead to the division stuff. I don't think this game, as I said in the first segment, I don't believe this game was lost by the guys on the pitching staff.
No, they didn't.
Did they make mistakes? Yes. Merriweather walked 3, but he's been pretty good this year. Yeah. And you had a defensive miscue, and you had 3 hits.
Mm-hmm. 3 hits.
What did the guy say in the he said right away, Luke's going to say 3 hits. Yeah. 3 hits.
2 tree hits.
One base runner. One base runner out of your first 5 guys in the lineup. You're going to lose.
Yeah, what did Cody say? They went 0 for 15, 1 through 5 tonight?
0 for 19.
0 for 19.
0 for 19
how many
with a
games
walk.
this year are the Chicago Cubs going to win when 1 through 5
I'm going to say
0
none.
For 19?
That's what I'm going to say.
And it's hopefully not going to happen very often, but you know.
Becky thinks the home plate umpire was bad. Hey, Becky, they got to get the robots here as fast as possible.
The home pro
get the droids behind the plate. Get R2D2 back there calling it with C3PO at third.
The home plate umpire was bad. I try to not do this because if I did this every post game, everyone would just say that I blame the umps for every loss. I'm not blaming the umps for this loss, but I always say this, that every missed call in every crucial situation dictates a plate appearance. Mm-hmm. There were multiple. There was. I don't remember who was at the plate, but I want to say it might have been Schwarber. But
yeah, instead of 1-1, it's 2-0.
Yeah, instead of 1-1, it's 2-0, and then you're forced to throw a fastball down the middle of the zone, and they don't swing at it luckily or something.
It was Merriweather. It was a Merriweather.
Well, Merriweather was pitching. Yes, this is what we're talking about with Merriweather out there. There were some borderline calls he didn't get, and it just dictates a plate appearance. I'm not saying that it's not his fault. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen to other pitchers, but that's what makes it frustrating. From if you look at it from a different viewpoint than just, oh, Merriweather sucks or, oh, the umpire sucks. Like when the umpire finds a way to make the game about them, that's when I get angry. And that's what it feels like when for most of the game you feel like they're doing okay, but then late they start getting real they start squeezing real hard.
Yeah, that's when you need to have some speed
inside edge.
That home plate umpire.
Yeah, you need to have some speed.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. And so whenever we talk about this kind of stuff, it's like, why isn't Craig going out and yelling at the ump and getting thrown out?
Not his thing.
I don't know if it would ever change anything, but I think as a fan, I don't blame y'all for yelling about Craig never going out and yelling at the ump. I don't personally care, but I don't blame y'all for being mad about it.
I don't know if this is an impression, but I have 2 things that Craig Counsell does. And that if you're just listening to it, it's the shaking of the head and the hand. No, we're not gonna put the review on that.
Look.
That's same one that we give to Luke when the CHGO crew goes, "Hey, do you want to come out to the second bar, Luke?"
No, I'm good. I'm not going. And then the second one is in his press conferences. He starts so many of his answers like he doesn't want to be there. Goes. Well, it's a heavy sigh and a shake. No, that's a more likely Craig Counsell reaction.
His post games are always dry, and his in game motions.
But he's 17 and 12 this year.
12.
More on the Cubs series and looking ahead to the division play coming up this week in just a minute. But first, a word from our great sponsors, Cody.
Yes, Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. A place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside has everything you need to elevate your summer. It's a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city in Wrigleyville, right by a beautiful historic Wrigley Field, and River North. all the way to the suburbs, as far south as Champaign, as far north as South Beloit, and more. If you're starting out, Sunnyside has expert guidance and brands we know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. If you're a pro, we've got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu and new ones added daily. Expertly curated wellness advisor staff picks collection, they call it. So they know you'll love Cresco and Florical's incredible quality and consistent products. So visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. Luke.
Pay attention, everyone. Light beer just got better. Introducing Sam Adams American Light. It's clean, it's crisp, it's super easy to drink. No gimmicks, no fluff. Good time to grab a beer? Friday 120 Club.
Yes.
After a game. Before a game, during a game. Sam Adams American Light is not your average light beer. It's brewed with 100% American-sourced ingredients from local, independent farmers. It's light beer that's just made right. Everybody wants a lighter beer. Who wants a big, heavy beer that makes you feel all full and bloated after 3 sips of your beer bat chug? Nobody. Light beer shouldn't feel like a compromise. It's increased Cody's beer bat chug speed incredibly this season.
Absolutely.
Am I right? An American classic, so smooth, you're going to want to crack open another one. It's always Sam season. Light beer just got better. Grab some Sam Adams American Light. Available now at select Chicago retailers. Must be 21 and older. Please drink responsibly. So the Cubs went, 5-3 on the homestand? Correct? 2 to the Phillies, 1 to the D-backs?
Yeah.
Swept the Dodgers. Still, obviously 6-2 would have been very nice.
Yeah.
5-3 feels pretty good considering you just played 3 playoff teams in my eyes.
Yeah.
I don't see there's any way the Dodgers aren't making the playoffs. The Diamondbacks are making the playoffs, and I believe so are the Phillies.
Yeah. I mean, they played as tough a schedule as you could play, man. And to be 17-12, I know we're all annoyed and we're all venting right now, and y'all have the right to vent, but you're still 17-12 on April 27th with an off day ahead. You got the Pirates coming up, and then you go to Milwaukee, finally play some divisional games. And I've said this before the season, but I didn't care about the schedule. I really didn't, because they played a tough April schedule last year too. But what position you've put yourself in through the schedule is not only impressive, but also now you have to take advantage of it with what's coming up.
That is true.
And last year, they were bad against the division. They were 23-29 against the division last year. So despite the fact that they played well against some of the best teams in baseball last season, they sucked against their own division. That's got to be different moving forward. So I think there's plenty to be content about and plenty to be concerned about and plenty to be, be skeptical about for sure. But you're still in a really great spot.
Friday 120 Club. I missed this one, but it was your first Friday 120 Club rain delay.
The longest.
And the videos I saw from you on Friday, a 4-0 Cubs win, which that was the positive to the series. You looked a little cold on Friday. Was it a little cold Friday in the bleachers?
It was so cold. It was crazy.
Temperature just seemed to plummet.
I tweeted a video during the game though. The sun eventually came out.
Yeah.
And it was in the middle innings, like somewhere between the 5th and the 7th, where I was like, I cannot believe this weather development. We just got it all on Friday. And yeah, and the weather was cold. And I was stuck in the concourse for 2 hours because we stupidly came into the ballpark too early.
Oh boy. Yeah, first there's 2 storylines to the actual game. Yeah, the rain was obviously something beforehand, and it was one of those games where I thought to myself watching it, the pieces I saw, I was like, that's one of those days where you see everybody running to buy the last remaining sweatshirts that are overpriced at Wrigley Field, right? Like everybody's running to buy the cheap poncho, and they're all running to get an extra sweatshirt because they're frozen solid, no matter how much they've had to drink before the game.
Credit to me, I didn't give Tom any of my money.
You came prepared.
Well, I did give him money for beer, but whatever.
Okay.
That doesn't count.
we touched on the two storylines. Colin Ray was good. 5 innings, no runs, 3 hits, 7 strikeouts. For me, the other storyline for sure is the bullpen in that game and some of the names that were on that list. Thielbar, Keller, Drew Pomeranz, and Palencia. Each threw a scoreless inning. Drew Pomeranz, first appearance with the Cubs and first appearance in the majors since
2021.
2021. Yep. And he had 2 strikeouts.
Do you know who those 2 he struck out?
He struck out Bryce Harper.
Thank you.
And he struck out the great Schwarbino.
He did. But we actually got a little bit of the good and the bad. Me, huh? We got a little bit of the good and the bad. He making his first major league appearance since 2021. Yes. Drew Pomeranz, 36-year-old Drew Pomeranz, comes to the game, strikes out Bryce Harper, strikes out Kyle Schwarber. Then I think he hit the next guy with a pitch, and then walked a guy, and then got runs, and then the next batter lined out to PCA.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit of the good and the bad, but he was good yesterday too. So I haven't tweeted the graphic yet, but he's on the graphic. He's not in the circle of trust, but he's on the graphic.
So he's not in your circle of trust, and he's not in my triangle of trust. Maybe he's in the trust tree or on the trust tree for Alex Cohen. I don't know. I can't confirm or deny.
All I know is that he's making he raised some eyebrows on Friday.
I will update my triangle of trust. Thielbar is going to be.
Oh yeah,
he's in the triangle of trust now. Keller is in the triangle of trust. Pomeranz, I can't make a comment on it. Palencia has put himself at least in the vicinity of that triangle of trust for sure.
I love the way that they used the bullpen on Friday. You didn't use Hodge. You didn't use Merriweather. You didn't use Presley. You were up 4-0, and you didn't use any of those 3.
Yeah,
that's huge. That's huge. Palencia came in and ended the game. We just talked about Pomeranz. Maybe Thielbar pitched in that game too. I can't remember.
He pitched on Friday.
Did he pitch on Friday?
Thielbar, Keller, Pomeranz, and Palencia. Yeah, that's how it ended.
So you use Keller, who is one of the top 4 guys that I feel good about. But it was they won 4-0. So they were all good. They didn't walk dudes like they did tonight. And yeah, I mean, to me, that's huge because it doesn't force you to use your quote unquote most reliable relievers on a day that you won. And you need those days. That way you're not overusing your guys. So they didn't use them Saturday either because of how that game went. So the fact that they didn't pitch 2 days in a row, or they didn't pitch over the weekend until today with an off day tomorrow, I just think that that's important to know and good moving forward.
Godfather CHGO, good to see you. I've missed you a little bit here. He says, make everybody's day worse. Bryce Harper tells The Athletic that the Cubs were his first choice. Yes, we have a mini pod coming out on the CHGO Cubs YouTube channel.
Probably tomorrow.
Sometime tomorrow, so look for that. We've already discussed that, so we're not going to do it on the postgame show. But yeah, we know what you're talking about, Godfather, and good to see you. Hope you're doing well. One more thing from the Friday game. There was PCA's been this great player, and we know his WAR is off the charts, and he's like top 5 in baseball, top 2, whatever.
Top 2 technically.
He had a funny game on Friday, but this is how you do it when you're not hitting a home run and all the great things that he can do. PCA had a hit, he scored a run, he had an RBI and 2 stolen bases.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you still impact the game, and he plays great center field. That's a game that's not going to wow anybody on the box score, right? You're not going to look at him like, whoa, look at the game of PCA. But he scored a run, he drove in a run, he stole 2 bases, and he had a hit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's still greatly impacting the game. And then Birdie was 2 for 4 in that game. I don't know how anybody could. While Brujan did hit the ball hard twice and then finished it with the pat. Birdie is the guy you have to play every day right now at third base.
You think so?
That's my opinion. Birdie's the guy I'd like to see in there more often than not over at third. I don't think Turner's not the guy at third base. I don't think Brujan is the everyday guy right now at third base. If I have to consider myself an everyday third baseman until Matt Shaw comes back, and I heard Jed Hoyer say this again, that's the plan. That's the hope. That's what they're hoping for. Is that? And he, by the way, did hit a home run for Iowa.
Yeah,
I would play Birdie there 75% of the time.
We got a super chat from Steven.
Toyota super chat.
Toyota super chat. Thank you, Luke. I saw Matt Shaw hit today, and his stance looks the same. I hope the Iowa coaches can fix it quickly. He might be called up much sooner. I honestly don't think they're going to change much if he's out there doing the same thing, but we'll see. But he did. I think Tommy Birch tweeted, what, four hits in his last 9 at bats?
Yeah.
So I know he started slow. People are freaking out.
Well, they want to see the Cubs. That's the main thing Jed has said they want to see him do when he goes down there. It's not change the stance. They want to see him get back to driving the ball.
Yeah. They want
instead of kind of being like.
I would like to see some sort of tweak, but at the same time, I also just want to see his confidence back. So we'll see. But going back to what you were saying,
has Nicky Lopez played yet?
He did yesterday. He got into bat in the 9th inning. I don't want Nicky Lopez playing third.
Not over Birdie. I'd rather have Birdie at third.
I would see the reason that you're saying this, I think, and I think most people would agree with you, considering the options that we have.
Yeah,
is largely just because we've seen him more, and he's been the only one who's been productive. But I personally would like to see Brujan start tomorrow. Or on Tuesday.
On Tuesday,
I would.
Well, I mean, they're all utility players.
Yeah. No, I
think of the three, I think Birdie is the best utility player. So I'm just assuming that he's going to be the best fill-in stopgap.
He's probably been the most productive at this point, but that's because he's gotten the bigger opportunity.
Okay.
To me, Brujan,
he just needs to talk to Sammy again.
I think Brujan, there is a little bit more upside there. But I have nothing to prove that that's going to happen or not. So, yeah, I could be sitting here and people are like, what is this idiot talking about? For sure. But we know what John Birdie is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's a really good utility player. So I guess if you want to go with the for sure thing, I guess that's probably the right play. But if you want to go with an upside play, I would like to go with Brujan. And I'm not even asking for Brujan to play every day. I'm just asking for more than what? This is his second start now?
Yeah.
He's been on the roster for a couple weeks now. That's his second start. I would like to see. He hit the ball hard tonight.
Everybody's just going to remember the pat.
Sure, absolutely.
Even though, again, that's...
But the sicko like me, some of us are different, all right?
Right.
I remember how the game went in his at-bats. And he did make the routine plays, which is something that Gage Workman didn't do.
Until he did.
Okay?
Yes, I know what you're saying.
The one time.
Yeah, I know.
I understand.
And I'm not blaming him for the game either.
You didn't blame him for the game.
No, he's in my top 3, but he's not number 1. Yes, Joey. I know.
What was it, the anti-stars? Yeah.
I'm just.
Well, I was going to say, I think the conversation that we're having a little bit is that maybe the larger point, and not to make a mountain out of a molehill or whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
But when you're rotating all these different third basemen and you're mixing and matching, the play with Brujan was pretty classic of that type of mentality when you don't have a guy playing there every single day.
Yes.
In my opinion, I think he should have charged the ball.
Yes.
And then when he didn't, he held back and he patted the ball and threw a guy out. You need these guys getting reps every single day to have that feel and that instinct and that rhythm. And if you're kind of moving them around a little bit, I think you're more prone to having things like this happen. That I think this was more of a mental mistake than a physical mistake.
I've seen people in the chat saying, and here Isaac's the latest, saying Bush to third, Ballesteros at first, and it's like, listen, they're 17 and 12.
Yeah.
Let's not change. This is my opinion. Let's not change everything up over that. We know that third base is a problem. Let's give it a couple weeks with Shaw and AAA, see how that turns out. Well, if not, they're going to have to address it outside the team eventually.
The Bush to third base discourse, nothing makes me roll my eyes more because
he's become a Gold Glover.
Because he's become you can make an argument that he's become at least an above average defensive first baseman, and he had to basically learn how to do that. You remember how bad he was at the beginning of last year at first base defensively and how he grew as the season went along? Why would you want to mess that up? I think that's a move that you do in an absolute emergency. Remember when he played second base that one game last year?
Yeah.
That was an emergency.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that, the only way that I think that they would put Bush at third, or I would be okay with it, is if it was in an absolute emergency, because it took him a long time to figure out how to play first base at a really good defensive level.
Vanilla Chill says it's because Mo Baller is raking. And I know that's what we said even going into this season. Everybody wants to see Mo Baller hit at the major league level, but you got to figure out where are you going to put him, right? Because you have mostly Seiya at DH, and then where does he fit in? All right, a quick word from our sponsors. Then we're going to get back to Cubs baseball and looking ahead to the division play on our way. We are spring cleaning at Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake. Come on in and get fresh savings during their spring clearance sales event. Like 0% financing for 60 months, $0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, plus 0 hidden fees on select new Chevy models. Or check out their selection of over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. With one of the Chicagoland area's largest Chevy inventories, you're bound to find the perfect vehicle for you. And if one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, they're also able to keep those prices competitive, so you know you're getting a great deal. Plus, the Ray's price promise means no add-ons, no hidden fees, no gimmicks. The price you see is the price you pay. You don't have to worry about price changing, stressful negotiating, or any tricks. The people at Ray Chevy want you to get into the right vehicle at the right price. So go see for yourself our partner at their convenient location right on Route 12 in Fox Lake. And don't miss out on the spring clearance sales event going on all month for 0% financing on select new Chevy models. Shop Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. Serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive.
Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, kickoff, tip-off, or any event that you're going to with killer last-minute deals. All-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. All right, Friday 120 Club, we've had 3 this month. All right, and every time I go to Wrigley, get on at Argyle, get off at Addison, pull up Game Time, see where the prices are as I walk to Murphy's, and then look and see where they're at an hour before the game, 30 minutes before the game. And you know, the point is I'm doing that because I'm going to get the best value the longer I wait until first pitch. So, that's just one of the cool features. You can save up to 60% off buying last minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and a lot more. They have zone deals where you save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. They have all-in pricing. Toggling that feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. They have seat views. You get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. And they have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. They have Game Time ticket coverage as well, so your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem with code CHGO for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. I was looking at this up, and I wish I probably should have done it in the first segment when we were talking about Merriweather. And maybe these stats aren't updated, but in high leverage on Fangraphs in 2025, Merriweather, at least going into today, hadn't allowed a hit.
He's been good,
I think. And then in terms of on base, like with men on base, hitters were hitting 200. So I don't really know. That doesn't really tell me too much. I just think that the whole ghost runner on second base plays a big factor. Like, these guys come in, there's a guy on second immediately.
It's a tough situation.
It's a tough situation, and sometimes their mentality might go to a go to a point of, like, they can't make a mistake.
No, I have to be perfect.
You got to be perfect. And listen, like, this is the game, and this is the rule, and it's not changing. And I'll admit that it is at least forcing more anxiety on me, so that means it's more exciting for people. But
not when your offense is up.
Right, yeah, exactly. And so there's pros and cons to it. Overall, I hate the rule, but I'm doing my best to try and just get over it because it's not going away. The good news is it's not part of the postseason. So, and I'm not even really trying to make excuses for Merriweather. I'm just trying to give some insight. He's been awesome, and I think anyone who thinks that he hasn't been is a casual and hasn't been watching. One
last thing in the series recap was Saturday's game, a 10-4 loss to the Phillies. You mentioned Ben Brown, 3 2/3, 6 earned runs. It was a 6-run fourth inning afterwards. Craig Counsell said, we need better.
Yeah.
We need more than that out of our fifth starter. And Brown kind of agreed that, he's got to go deeper. And sometimes it's one inning like that just kind of gets away, but it also can be, some pitches that just lead to those things. But and batter, like a certain batter that can kind of change the way things go down for him. So whatever it is, we know Ben Brown has the talent. He hasn't necessarily grabbed that fifth spot by the reins like you had hoped he would. Doesn't mean I don't think he's part of the pitching staff. Mm-hmm. I still think he could bounce back and show you another one of those great starts. But he's a young pitcher, and it's not been a steady climb to right where we want to see him go.
Yeah.
That's okay. But the thing that I thought was interesting in yesterday's game was that Jesus Lazardo goes 6 innings, 2 unearned, and he's allowed 2 runs or less in 5 of his 6 starts. Now, remember, the Cubs had a trade ready to go, pending physical for Lazardo, and then they didn't like the medicals on him, and they backed off. That was even after they had already signed Boyd. So there is a world where you could have Boyd and Lazardo on this pitching staff right now. The flip side is, after they didn't get Lazardo, the Cubs went and signed the starter from Friday, Colin Ray, for 1 year, $5 million with a club option. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying that Colin Ray is better than Lazardo, but even though I love that the start that Lazardo's off to for the Phillies, and I think he would have been a really good addition, I'll give the Cubs credit by saying Colin Ray looks like that's a pretty solid pickup for a guy that we just said was depth and is, but right? Like, I'm not saying I want Ray over Lazardo, but it's just funny that they both pitched in this series and we ended up with Ray only because we didn't like the medicals on Lazardo.
I feel like they were still going to add him. I feel like they could have added him. Still used.
Now you're right. It's possible. It's possible they could have had
all three
of them.
Yeah.
You could have had Boyd, Lazardo, and Ray. Now you'd feel a lot better about having lost Steele earlier in the season, or, at least somewhat better about it.
Yeah. Listen,
Lazardo looked good.
The Lazardo thing, I'm so confused because it came out that it was because the Cubs didn't like the medicals for Lazardo. But then I think in the spring, there was a report that came out that it was actually the Marlins didn't like the medicals for Owen Casey, who had core surgery last offseason. Uh-huh. And then Rosenthal writes this article going into the series about how the Cubs didn't like Lazardo's medicals. So which one is it? I would like to know.
Nobody likes the medicals.
I'm just very confused about the entire thing because none of it makes sense. All that said, though, I was very on board for the Cubs to get Lazardo. Okay. And I was willing to take that risk. And I'm not sitting here saying in hindsight that you messed up or whatever. Like, I'll move on that you didn't get Jesus Lazardo. The guy has plenty of injury history, blah, blah, blah. I know. But so does every other pitcher. And listen, Justin Steele's on the injured list for out for the year. And he's been pretty healthy for most of the last couple of years outside of a few minor things, right? So that's what comes with trades. That's what comes with free agency, right? That there's always that risk. So all I know is that Lazardo is a guy that had the upside to be one of those guys that could emerge as one of your top 3 pitchers in your rotation to go with Imanaga and Steele going into the season. Didn't work out. On the flip side, Ben Brown, he had he potentially could have had a revenge game on Saturday against his former team that you traded David Robertson for. And I thought for the first 3 innings, he was awesome. And I'll admit, I didn't watch the game. I was listening to it on the radio. And Pat Hughes is awesome, but it's obviously a lot different when you're listening to it on the radio compared to the TV. And so I don't really know exactly how that 4th inning went. All I know is that it was hit after hit. But I did see the highlight of the ball, the pop-up, and it was just like, I want to say it was in San Diego that it happened the first time, but Happ, Swanson, and maybe whoever was playing third was out there, maybe it was Birdie, and the ball just dropped right in front of Happ. It happened again. Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
It's a Bermuda Triangle, and that one
what
part of
are
the
we
field.
doing?
Listen, we have Gold Glovers all over the field. I've just asked for some sort of communication.
Right.
We have meetings here all the time. I know some of them are worthless, but it just seems like somebody needs to talk to PCA, Hap, Tucker, the infielders all at one time.
That's what kind of opened the floodgates. That play opened the floodgates in San Diego, and that play opened the floodgates on Saturday.
Yeah.
And it's like you are supposed to be one of the best defensive teams in baseball. You have a Gold Glover in left field. You got a Gold Glover at shortstop, all right? Catch the ball. And listen, I'm not saying that if he catch the ball, Ben Brown doesn't give up runs. He was probably going to give up runs that inning. But it just felt like everything went terrible after that. He had some bloop hits that some bloop hits off him that hit found grass, and I don't know. It was night and day, because I thought beginning of the game, first 3 innings he had 5 strikeouts. I thought he was rolling, and then I don't know, something changed. So I'll say this as well about Ben Brown: it's 1 month. I'm not wavering. I'm willing to bet right now he has a 6 ERA right now, 6.04 earned run average. We will think completely different about Ben Brown at the end of May.
Yeah, I'm still totally fine with Ben Brown getting more opportunities in that 5th spot. I think we're going to see it. By the way, the Lazardo thing, it rolls on. Is it one that maybe they missed? It's not a Bryce Harper miss.
No,
it's not apples to apples. And okay, if it was that Owen Casey would have been involved in that deal and that would have gotten you Lazardo, well, now you still have Owen Casey, and if he's healthy and he's playing well, maybe he gets you Alcantara instead. So, I don't know what to say. You got Ray, maybe you get Alcantara. I'd rather have Alcantara than I would Lazardo.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
so it's not like if that is, and the way to do it with the 7 degrees of Cubby separation, how do you get to use Owen Casey as a chip to go get or Alcantara as a chip to go get Alcantara? You sign Kyle Tucker. Yeah. You signed Kyle Tucker. Now you don't need one of those outfielders. One of those outfielders helps you go get a starting pitcher that you can use for the future.
Yeah. Stephen S., am I sure, are you sure, Cody? Yes, I'm sure. I will openly say that I was wrong if we do not feel better about Ben Brown at the end of May.
Let's see how we feel about Jesus Lazardo in a month. I'm sorry, but we sometimes do this a little bit as fans, where things go good for 3 or 4 starts and we start lamenting what possibly could have been, and we don't know what's up with Lazardo's his medicals. He may be great this year, and he may break down next year.
That's fanning. That's fanning, Joey.
Yeah, it is.
Because I saw Castellanos up, and did he almost hit a home run? Yes.
Did you unbutton a couple of buttons on your shirt just for Castellanos?
I always do, because I like to let it breathe a little bit, And he really likes to let it breathe. I mean, does he even button his shirt?
No need.
Just around the navel. That's it. And then he does one bottom ones too.
Castellanos.
I know everybody wanted Castellanos to be signed, but now I'm glad that Tucker's in right, not Castellanos. Time moves on. Not that having Castellanos would have been a bad thing. I think still upset they don't have Schwarbs, but that's another story.
My point about Brown is a lot of people on social or in the chat have said, oh, Brown needs to go back to the bullpen, or we need to call up Horton for Brown. And it's just dude, this team will be better when you have Brown and Horton on this roster, because that's how good Ben Brown is.
Yes.
Okay. So for me.
And by the way, Justin Steele's out for the year, so I'm not ready to take anybody out of the rotation just yet.
If you want to understand the reason that I feel this way. Listen, Justin Steele was one of our best pitchers the last couple of years. It's not like he was awesome just like that the moment the Cubs put him in the rotation. It took some time. Yeah, we saw glimpses of good from Ben Brown last year, right? But he's still a young pitcher, and you have to let him go through those ups and downs. The guy pitched 6 great innings against the Dodgers earlier this month, okay? And even though he didn't go deep in the game against the Diamondbacks, his start after, he didn't allow any runs either. So, yeah, you can't allow 6 runs in 3 innings or whatever, but it also is still just one start. Everyone's going to give up runs. But the thing for these young pitchers is figuring out how to just kind of weather the storm when things aren't exactly going your way, and figuring out how to go deep in the games and all this. And it's all part of the process. And these are the cards we were dealt. And so you have to kind of just ride the wave of this, because what is Cade Horton going to do when he comes up here? Just because he has a 1 ERA in AAA doesn't mean he's going to come up to the Cubs and be awesome. He's probably going to have some moments too that leave us thinking, like, what were we thinking, you know? So for me, yeah, I'd love to see Cade Horton next week, the week after, whenever. I also think the longer the Cubs can keep him in Iowa, the better it is for the team long term, because in the back of my head, I feel like he's probably on an innings limit because he barely pitched last year because of that injury. So you got to think about that as well. Now, you want to option Brown and bring Jordan Wicks back up here to be a starter? Listen, we've seen a lot of good from Jordan Wicks. We've seen a lot of bad from Jordan Wicks too. What's the difference? Ben Brown has a higher ceiling. So it's kind of like you're rolling with your high ceiling play here with Ben Brown for me. And so you got to ride it out unless you're going to go make a trade for a guy now, which that's
probably not happening right now. It'd be very rare for it to happen right now.
It's not going to be Alcantara right now, but you want to go get a guy that's smaller, that's on a team that's bad and is ready to sell now. Okay.
Maybe you're just going to claim Jesse Chavez again.
Don't say that.
DFA'd by the Braves.
Don't say
41 years young, Jesse Chavez. There's your bullpen fix, everybody.
41. He's got a lot left in the tank, Luke, if you ask me. Just my personal opinion.
I think he had one outing for the Braves this stint.
Yeah.
Jesse Chavez is out there. Listen, the ass man has been slowed down in his comeback, so we're down a pair of glasses. Jesse Chavez wears glasses.
Do not do this on a night we lost.
Eric Sogard also wears glasses.
God, come on, Joey.
That was a shot. That was just for Brendan.
Come on, brother.
Just for Brendan.
Come on, man. We've now lost 2 in a row. Do not bring up Eric Sogard in the same podcast as Jesse Chavez.
No, Pirates are coming up next. Travel to Pittsburgh. Next game is Tuesday. Again, our show will be at 1:30 on Monday. We will have an off-day show, and then we'll do the post-game up for you, obviously, on Tuesday after that game. They do play the Pirates, who are in last place right now. But the Cubs were only 7-6 against them last year. Cody kind of touched on it. You got to play better against the division. You got to be better than 7-6 against the last place team in your division this year.
Yeah.
Have to. And you only get Skeens in that third game, the getaway game on Wednesday. So make your hay early in that series, or on Thursday, the getaway on Thursday.
Yeah.
Make a little hay there, and we'll be talking about more about that, obviously, tomorrow on the off-day show.
Looking forward to betting Ian Happ in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
So
always. I think that's it. How many? Thanks to everybody in the live YouTube chat. Tracy says she's doing a bus trip from Roscoe, Illinois. Hope to see you guys there.
All right, at the Milwaukee thing.
Milwaukee deal.
Let's go.
Hopefully that means they're going to show up.
Yeah,
with
if you're not coming to our event, but you're going to be in Milwaukee, let us know. We'll be there. Yeah.
$50.
We still trying to go
you get the casino play, 100 casino play for 21 and older. You get the drink ticket, and you get the lunch buffet, and you get to watch the show in a private room that we're doing.
Yeah.
Can't beat that. And if you want to add on, that's when you really become a sicko. I've heard the hotel rooms are nice.
I'm looking forward to
Fine hotel, the Potawatomi Casino.
Yeah.
Isaac says goodnight, and we say goodnight as well. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs YouTube channel.
Yeah, subscribe
and the
if you're
post-game
new
show. Please tell somebody about the YouTube channel. I know it's been a little difficult to find because of the algorithm,
3,000.
but the more we get, the more to make it easier and easier to find it. Thanks for checking out the CHGO Cubs post-game show presented by Toyota and Bet365. Cubs lose 3-1 in extra innings. We'll see you tomorrow, 1:30. Fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.